Yes, lads, what is going on? And welcome back to the Trisports podcast, the first one of 2024. And we are kicking off the year with an absolute banger. We are joined in this episode with Nick Griggs and Callum Morgan, who are currently, as of posting and recording this episode of the podcast, over in South Africa on a training camp. A huge year ahead for both of these lads. Of course, we had Nick on the podcast before, after the Eurocross. I think the Eurocross 2 years ago, so Eurocross now in 2022. And obviously we're having him back on now, but joined with his teammate and friend Callum Morgan, who's also a European athlete, competed at the Eurocross, competed at the Junior World Championships as well. So Callum gives us an insight into the background of his running, the same way Nick did in his episode of the podcast. Of course, we know Nick and Callum are the future of Irish running. Nick recently set the fastest ever park run time recorded, so make sure to stick around to find out what that time is. And huge seasons ahead for both of these lads. Callum Morgan obviously looking to improve his outdoor 1500 meter senior ranking, I suppose, in the national championships coming up in a couple of weeks. This season is, these upcoming seasons is an opportunity for Callum to focus on getting his PBs down, due to having no major qualification standards needed for the upcoming season. Then for next year, of course, he'll be looking further on from the, I suppose, national field, and getting back onto that international stage. And of course, we discuss the European Under-23 Championships for Callum Morgan. Of course, the Under-23 team, how they performed, Callum's thoughts on that and his race as well. And as well, Nick Griggs just placed third against Vaxel van Christensen and Niels Largos in the Under-20 men's field this year at the European Cross Country Championships that took place in Brussels. And it was unfortunately a ranking less than last year, where he placed second, but in the conditions that he did so last year, compared as well to the field that he was up against this year, Nick talks about how this year's third was actually easier to take than last year's second. And the under-20 team that Nick was a part of had a historic first place finish in the European Cross Country Championships this year. So we'll find out Nick's thoughts on all of that as well. Of course, Nick, hopefully, fingers crossed, all going well. He was, very much talking about in the mindset of one race at a time, but all going well. He's looking to move from the World Championships last year to the Olympics this year in Paris. So he's on the hunt for that 1500 meter Olympic qualification time. So he'll give his thoughts on that, and as well, of course, he touches on his time in Budapest at the World Championships, of course, being in a heat with Jakob Ingebrigtsen and Josh Kerr. So all that and a lot more in the first episode of the Trisports podcast of 2024. So I suppose without any further ado, here is Nick Griggs and Callum Morgan. Right, so we are joined with Nick Griggs and Callum Morgan. Lads, I appreciate you taking the time out to come on the podcast. Obviously, you are away on camp at the moment, so and you are 2 hours ahead. So I don't know what the sleep schedule is like over there at the moment for you as well on camp. But I do appreciate you coming on and having a chat. But on that note, I'll let either of you take it away and tell us a little bit about camp, where you are, how it's getting on, and just a little insight on how things are going over there.
So we're out here in Potch in South Africa. So we've been out for two and a half weeks nearly, and we've got about 5-6 days left. So just over 3 weeks together combined, and it's kind of altitude, but it's not too high. We were out in Font in September, and it was 1.8 thousand meters. This is only like 1.3, so it's not as bad. You definitely don't feel as much, but again, it's about 30 degrees every single day consistently. So every run you're doing, it's kind of slowed down. Heart rate's increased, obviously, because it's a bit warmer. And it's good though. It's good to get away. And a country like South Africa, we're just enjoying the training. Everything's going well. We've done our our key session really for the camp. We've done that, ticked it off, it went really well. So yeah, we're kind of just maintaining now, going into indoors in about a week and a half. So it's all good.
And I don't know, have you heard about the weather back at home? How cold it is here?
Yeah, I've
It's
heard about it.
yeah, it's like freezing. Like like because we just came back from Portugal as well, and like it wasn't anywhere near how hot it is over there in South Africa, but you feel it. Like as soon as you step off the plane, it's absolutely freezing. So all I can say is I enjoy the weather the last couple of days, that you have over there because
But
you'll you'll feel it when you come back. So yeah, Nick, you were saying there, key session done. So presuming all's going well, body's holding up, no injuries between the both of yous, and training is going well for when you come back. Obviously, like you mentioned, Nick, for indoors as well.
Yeah. It's going perfectly. We kind of started off. We did like a day or two of just jogging, and then we basically got straight into it. So yeah, everything's been going pretty perfectly. No real complaints. We've been doing a few doubles, gym, all that, long runs, sessions, stuff like that. So yeah, it's weird to adjust to the heat. I adjusted pretty well, thankfully, but it does. Even though like the sessions went well, it doesn't mean like we were doing a K session. We did 8 by K and then five by 200, I think, like last Saturday, and we were only doing like 3:05, 6, 7. So at home, your lactate would probably be 2, something like really, really low, 1.92. And it feel really easy, but out here, it just felt like obviously got the session ticked off and it went well, but it's just so warm and so much heat. And yeah, it was just like there's no avoiding the heat. So it's definitely a lot more difficult doing sessions like that out here.
Definitely. And Callum, obviously you take the training off for the day, you get your gym done, your recovery in, then you have the rest of the day in the heat. Kind of what's on the agenda, I suppose, for the rest of the day outside of training. Is it relax and recover, or is up to much over there?
well, most days we usually have like 2 sessions, whether that's a second run or a gym. But yeah, most of the time we just lie about, try and rest, recover, get the food in this. Been a good trip so far, but most days we do have training twice a day, so it's kind of just getting recovered in between them.
But I suppose chilling out in 30 odd degree weather, I suppose you can't really complain.
Yeah, not at all.
And then yeah, you mentioned there, Nick, obviously national indoors as well when you come back, some indoor races and nationals. Under 20s and under 23s this weekend, Callum, under 23s, was that ever on the agenda, or was it just kind of fully prepare and be as fit as possible for the senior indoors?
Yeah, it's kind of just focusing on getting fit. You know, the indoors this weekend, there'll be some good quality at it, but I think it was just about getting good 3 weeks out in South Africa. Like we came here on New Year's Eve. Any earlier, we kind of would have been eating into Christmas, but we're going to fly back Tuesday, and I'm going to be straight into racing on the Saturday at the AI Games. So yeah, it was just about getting fit. And indoors, I kind of treat it as just running fast rather than getting championship races. Just leave that for the outdoors.
Yeah, definitely no, and I'm sure the fitness that you are building over there, especially when you come back here in the next couple of days, you will you'll definitely feel it. Like we mentioned, the change in weather. But Colin, we've obviously had Nick on the podcast before. First time having you on here this evening. Before we go any further, Nick, I won't get you to repeat your, I suppose, background in running, but Callum, I suppose I'll hand the microphone over to you for a little bit. Tell us kind of your background into running, how you got started, and kind of how it got you to where you are today.
Yeah, so it's quite similar to Nick. It was just kind of through my school, St. College. They have a big like running background. We kind of just do a race in first year. Done it, and I finished like seventh out of the whole year group, and kind of the coach went around with and picked out like the top 10 or so and offered them to go to a race, and it was kind of an excuse to get out of class. But it was never really good until I kind of was running when about 15 and wasn't running well because I wasn't training. I was doing other sports and stuff, and I kind of was like, right now I'll try to take it serious. And I took it serious for about a year, and then the next year I kind of made the two schools internationals on the cross and the track, and then that's when I kind of fell in love with the sport, I suppose, because like just making teams and getting to travel and go on these trips, and that's when it just took off, and I kind of just started from there.
Was there ever a sense of maybe if you started taking it soon, it's more serious a little bit sooner, that it could have been, I suppose, sooner success? Obviously, the success that you've seen so far now is nearly as high as you can get at the age that you're at. But was there ever an element of maybe if you took it serious a little bit earlier, there could have been a little bit more?
Maybe, but also like just playing the other sports kind of helped, because now like I've just fully focused on running, and like I've kind of made most of the trips I wanted to make. And with COVID, there wasn't much more I could have done at an earlier age. I maybe would have ran faster times, but there wasn't much more due to COVID that I could have done. So I think playing the other sports definitely helped like keep me in running. If I had done it from such a young age, you can fall out of love with it. But yeah, no, I think the way it went has helped me. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely gaining fitness through the other sports, and as well not having any miles or sessions in the legs. You find some people even nowadays when they pick up running a little bit later on in life as well. Obviously a lot later on than yourself, Callum, but they don't have the miles in their legs, and they're fairly fresh. So no, nice and short and snappy. I suppose we get that out of the way. Nick gave his in the first episode, so we said we'd throw it in there. Nick, towards the end of the year, I suppose maybe going back to October, a little while back now, you obviously had your 14-minute, 15-second park run that it's been reading up in it and the posts about and things being stated as the fastest ever recorded park run. Reading some articles, and you said you felt like you could have even gone a little bit faster as well. Talk us through that. Was it just, I suppose, another training run for you on the day?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we do two each year. So we did two this year. There was one in October and one in November, literally just a week before nationals. So I definitely felt a lot better in the one in November. I only ran like 8 seconds quicker, but still I remember feeling a lot better, and kind of paced a bit better and closed a bit harder. So yeah, we always treat that as kind of a training one. And again, it's not too serious. Just go out there. It's difficult to motivate yourself to get up at 9. Well, you're up at 7, but to race at 9:30 in the morning to get mentality. So yeah, for me, it was just about trying to treat it as much like a race as possible, trying to have that professional mindset towards it. So I think some of us definitely cope better with it and would race better than others. So I would say like Callum, you'd be a bit more like just kind of get it done, and like it's difficult because there's like maybe a gap where he's kind of run by himself, because it would just be like, say if I was at the front and then he wouldn't really have anyone to sit in with, you know what I mean? So I'd say it just depends on the person. You know, some people can't really get up and not be bothered, but it's just more difficult to do that at 9:30 in the morning. But yeah, I just tried treating it as much as a race as possible, and I think that helped to run hard and fast. Yeah.
Yeah, and where's the 5K PB Nick sitting at now? Just remind us.
On the track or on the
Yeah,
park one?
yeah, we'll go with the track, because the
I
14
will.
the
Well, that
15 is obviously the fastest park run, so we go with the track.
yeah, 13:36 is what I ran last summer. So yeah.
So be looking to take that down again once outdoor season comes back around.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, again, I've not raced many 5Ks on the track. I think I raced one in 2021,
Yeah.
and then just raced one last year. So yeah, it'll be. I still think I'm probably more of a 1500 runner. Or I like to tell myself that I am, but yeah, maybe with the increased miles and stuff like that, I can run a bit quicker over 5K. So I'd say my 15 is probably better than my 5K. But again, yeah, it's just about seeing what happens, and I'll get a quick 5K and don't know where, but yeah, hopefully I'll get into a good race and yeah, just sit on the train, and who knows? Don't really have any time aims or anything, just trying to run as fast as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I suppose everyone has their own preferred event, especially, and that you'd want to race more often, giving it more chance to get the time itself down. So that would be the 1500 for you. But yeah, like you said, jump into a couple of races once the outdoor season comes around, and kind of play it out that way. I suppose moving on to a bigger stage, Callum. We were chatting before. We were chatting just after the National Cross Country Championships in Kilkenny. Your first time racing under 23 level on the cross country stage. Obviously, you've raced senior national championships on the track, but specifically this year, even on the European stage, you've been competing at an under 20 level alongside Nick over the past couple of years. Tell us about the European race from your point of view. We'll get into, I suppose, a team point of view now in a moment in terms of the team result. But for you, it was a tough course. Did it maybe replicate the course in Kilkenny a bit more than you expected?
Coming away from the trial, I kind of thought the results from European Cross would be a bit different, because I thought it'd be much drier and flatter, but it was just a complete mud bath as well. I wouldn't have said it was bad as Kilkenny, but it was still pretty bad. And like with my result, I wasn't too happy. None of our team really ran well. I think they would all say maybe bar one or two, but I was happy where I finished in the team, but I would have liked to be higher up because I thought our team would have had a better chance at like medaling and stuff, but we ended up way back. But it just wasn't to be on the day. But it was a great experience, and the crowd was unbelievable. So you can't beat it.
Definitely no, because you have yourself, Dean Casey, and Abdel Lajel, obviously previous European medalists, especially at an under 20 level. The team morale after the race, tell us a little bit about that, the under 23, because the three lads who raced so well in the NCAAs coming onto such a tough course in Brussels, was the expectations maybe took a little bit of a knock after in terms of the team morale after the race?
Yeah, definitely. Like there was talks of a medal beforehand for the team, but it was just the team we're all after. It wasn't too low, but given the fact that we're all kind of first year under 23, me, Dean, and Abdel, and like we're first year in this age group, and like they're coming from the NCAA, which is completely different racing. You know, it's flat. Someone like Abdel probably hasn't raced in a couple of years, so it was. We were a bit down, but you know, you soon forget about it and take the positives, and well, we're all in shape, so we know we can have a good indoor season.
Definitely, and there's 100% a solid under 23 team. Nick, yourself in the coming years, kind of to build from now, like you said, all first year practically under 23, and the talent within the squad and coming up over the next year. You can definitely see the that team finishing spot anyway. Definitely taking a huge, I suppose, increase in terms of moving up the pack over the next couple of years. Nick, obviously last year was second by the skin of your teeth. I suppose we don't need to dwell on that too much. But the third place this year, was that maybe easier to take than the second place last year? Were you able to be more, especially with the team first as well again this year? Was that third place easier to take than the second place last year?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. In the immediate aftermath, I was pretty buzzing with her because like it was a tough race, and obviously I didn't have a DNF in Garden, and there might have been a few question marks if I was not in shape, but if I could handle that type of course or whatever. So kind of just had to put that in my head and just get stuck into the race. So yeah, I was pretty buzzing with her. Like I think um, definitely on the last lap, like my head started to go a bit, and I was kind of thinking something similar could happen that didn't go, and my legs were obviously because you're running, my legs were starting to go. But yeah, I think it just shows how much even like one DNF can really mess your head, and that's just like a kind of a real insight into. It's not like the entire race I wasn't feeling perfect. I was obviously just like thinking I could drop out here, like I feel so bad. But yeah, I think also that what happened in Garden kind of I'm not saying I would have placed any higher. You know, I think that probably still would have came third, but I think I could have been in that kind of sprint in over the last 400 with Axel and Niels if Gar maybe didn't happen. So I just didn't like commit over the last lap. You know what I mean? Because I was kind of scared that whatever happened in Gar might happen again. So yeah, it was in the aftermath. I was buzzing with the individual bronze straight away, but that's just having after a bit of time to reflect. That's kind of what I've taken from it. But again, it was a positive thing getting on the European podium. You can't be too annoyed with that. So and obviously when I found out we won team goal, that was just like the icing on the cake because the last 2 years obviously we've got silver. I think last year we got silver with the lowest points ever to come second in an under 20 men's race, which is pretty heartbreaking. And then the year before, obviously, we lost that point, which we talked about it multiple times, and I've said it a lot that I really put that a lot on me because I just didn't perform at all. So yeah, it was class to be able to get that goal and contribute to the team score with the lads, and we were all buzzing. I didn't know for about 5 minutes, and then I went over to Jonas, and he just said we won. And yeah, there's a few videos on it, reels
Yeah.
on Instagram. It was sick. Yeah, it's made for some good content, but yeah, we were all buzzing.
No, the team medal and you could even see in the under 20 team the team morale when you just found out about the goal. That I seen the clip of you running over to Harry Colbert and telling him that you got gold, and obviously when you just find out yourself the reels and the content that came from that reaction at the finish line within the team, definitely did make for some great content. Kind of going back to when you rocked up to the course on the morning of the race, and you mentioned there yourself how talks about if you're able to handle a course like we've seen down in Kilkenny. Did that play on your mind when you seen the conditions of the course? Because I know there were talks about, when people saw the course before Brussels, that it'd be much faster and it wouldn't be anyway like how it was at the Nationals here. When you did see how mucky it was, did that play on your mind a little bit before the race?
100%, yeah. And Emmett Levy, he was the under 23 team manager. He did like the Masters race on it that night, and he said like it's really bad. It's really really bad. And I remember thinking, like this might just. I could sense. I was like, this might not be like I might drop a bit of a stinker, but I kind of remember thinking, having that bit of doubt in my head in the team meeting, and then just kind of after it thought like, just wise up. Well, what's that going to do? Kind of worrying about the course. If you psych yourself out over the course, over the mud, you're gonna have a bad race anyway. So I kind of just tried to forget about it as much as I could. Again, and I'm not like it's not like I'm really really bad in mud. It's just I did have that bad day, so I try to just put it out of my head and think, look, what can you do about it? You just have to go and race it, get stuck in, and whatever happens. And if I have a bad race, if I DNF, if I collapse, if I come 40th, so be it. I'm gonna give my all no matter what. So yeah, I managed to do that relatively well and put it out of my head as best I could. And yeah, came home with a decent performance. Yeah.
100%. With Niels and Axel in front of you, a third place is a huge finishing as well. How much it contributed to the team gold medal as well is invaluable. And going into the race, obviously Niels had a great campaign at the World Championships, but Axel being out with Achilles injuries. Was there a sense of, obviously now it shows how much of a good cross-country runner Axel is, out-kicking Niels, who's a 1500 metre specialist over the last 100 odd metres. Was there a sense that maybe Axel wouldn't have been in the race as much that he actually was?
No, I definitely thought from the start. I remember thinking like he's definitely not from the start, sorry, but from a few weeks out, whenever I knew he was racing, I knew his quality. I know he's not had the best year. He said hasn't raced much. He's had difficulty with his Achilles and stuff like that, so we didn't have a track season really. But I definitely knew like what he did in Dublin was just ridiculous. Like he absolutely destroyed everyone. By he must have beat me by 50 seconds or something, and he won by 26 seconds, something like that, when he was 17. So I knew he has that pedigree. He's that good. He's quick. He's strong, and especially over a course like that, he's going to be really good. So yeah, in my head, it was always kind of going to be that free man battle, and that's not to disrespect anyone, but that's how I pictured it.
Yeah,
when you think it happen, I pictured kind of us three. So yeah, it did play out like that for most of the race, and then obviously, as I said, them two just pulled away from me and had that bit of extra strength over the last lap. But yeah, it was a shocking performance. Really, I remember the last kind of 200. It was like the last home straight, but you can get some good ground. And I was kind of looking ahead, and I knew it was going to come third because I wasn't going to catch them, and I knew I looked behind me and I couldn't see anyone, so I thought, yeah, I could basically just enjoy the home straight. And I kind of just was looking, and I could see what was going on, and I heard the commentary, and I was like, no way. I was thinking, there's no way he does this. And I seen his form starting to go a bit, and I thought that's unbelievable. So yeah, I got probably the best view in the entire course of the finish. So yeah, it was pretty iconic.
No, definitely. Like your ability to win that race is definitely not to be disregarded whatsoever. But I suppose if there's ever two lads to beat you, you want nearly the two best in the world in your age group. So and then as well to come away with gold as a team, there's really not much that you can complain about in that sense. Callum, for as part of the under 23 team, watching on the under 20 race, did you get the chance to watch it and kind of be around them, or were you a little bit on your own as a team, really getting ready? I know obviously the women's under 23 race was the next one up, so how were you able to enjoy the under 20 race in the moment?
Yeah, we were just about able to watch it. We had to kind of rush for a warm up after, but I went out obviously because Nick was racing, so I went out and watched the first few laps, and then there was a TV inside at the athlete bit where we could just watch the race. So yeah, we got to see a good bit of it, and then I actually heard just before I started my warm up that the under 20 team won, and then that kind of spurred us on because I was thinking like they weren't really expected to win. They'd probably say themselves, but that just spurred us on to think today could be a really good day.
Like of course the result maybe wasn't as as perfect as you'd want it to be, but definitely for yourselves before going out, seeing how well the lads done in the under 20 race spurred you on. And it was great. But obviously, Callum, like we've mentioned it, over the next year, especially, and for years to come, between yourself, between Dean, between Callum, between Abdel, and of course Nick and the lads, some lads from the under 20 race coming up to the under 23 team, there must be great excitement around that, especially that Eurocross team over the next year or two.
Yeah, we're in like a real purple patch in the moment in Irish athletics. Like Jonas is still an under 20 next year. You've got Niall coming up, Nick coming up, and then you've got me, Dean Abdel, still a couple of years left. I think Michael Morgan still has a year left, and Matthew Lavery as well. He was on the team, and there's plenty of other lads there as well that are pushing us on, like Sean McGinley, Cahill Riley, who didn't make the team this year, but like very, very good athletes. So we're in a really good spot, and it's exciting times to be in an Irish cross country team. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Definitely. No, it was all in all like very, very tough day, very tough conditions. But everyone coming home, I'd say definitely that under 20 gold boosted the overall morale, and people were able to enjoy the rest of the time there. Moving on to maybe more present times. Obviously, we've discussed races for as soon as you come home after camp. Nick, world championships last year, of course the heat that you were in the 1500 meters was probably one of the best heats ever seen on a world stage. Obviously Jakob there, and of course Josh Kerr as well. World indoor champs this year in Glasgow in March. Is that on the cards whatsoever? Kind of, where's your mindset towards world indoor champs this year?
Yeah, I'll do probably 3 or 4 races, but World Indoors is probably not going to be not on the cards just because I don't know. It's a bit late. I know it's not that late. It's the start of March, but I think we're just trying to keep the indoor season short so we can really focus on Europeans because they're quite early. So I feel like if I did World Indoors, trying to make that turnaround for Europeans might be a bit sharp, but yeah. So we've got Europeans and Olympics, so it's definitely a big year in terms of senior champs, which I'm gonna aspire to make. So I think yeah, probably just gonna leave that one and yeah, just focus on run quick indoors, seeing what I can do, and then yeah, all guns blazing for outdoors.
Definitely, and that's kind of my next one as well. The Olympics, it goes from worlds to the Olympics. Where does the Olympics stand in terms of world championships? Is the Olympics number one for you?
I think it's obviously for me, it's a huge thing as for any athlete. Like everyone wants to make the Olympics, but as I say, I'm kind of only young, so we're still developing. I definitely think it's achievable, but it's not the be all and end all of the season.
Yeah.
I'll be disappointed if I don't make it, obviously, but I'd say Europeans is one that's on the cards. With the standards a wee bit more, and I think I could compete very well there if I do end up making the team and getting the standard. So I'd say just for the start of the season, Europeans will be the focus. Hopefully, I can make it there, and then look if I end up running the standards, maybe I've already ran the standard by then, or if I run it after for Paris, that'll be class. So yeah, I'm definitely focused on making Paris, but I'm not gonna. It's not like a be all and end all. If I don't make it, it's a completely ruined season. But yeah, I'd say I definitely want to be lining up there come the start of August.
Definitely, no. Like even discussing Olympics at your age, there's absolutely no reason to be upset if you don't make it this year. And then of course, who doesn't want a trip to LA in 2028?
Definitely, yeah, it'll be a good one.
Yeah, no,
Hopefully.
definitely. Yeah, well, all going well. Callum, for yourself, coming off a really, really solid cross country season, and as well coming back from South Africa, training with Nick in the conditions you're training with the discipline as well over there. What's your mindset? What's on the agenda? If I suppose we mentioned indoors, but everyone's sole focus and main priority is of course outdoors with national championships. Nick mentioned European championships is there as well. Kind of what's your priority list looking like this season with the upcoming outdoors?
Yeah, well, indoors wise, we're straight back doing the AI games. Then I think we plan to go to Boston, do a few fast races over there, maybe a mile, and then probably just national seniors, and then we'll leave it there. But then outdoors wise, I kind of in a bit of a grey area where I'd be too far off the senior standards, but I've no under 23 champs this year, so I just have 2025 to focus on. But then that gives me a chance to have just a free hit at trying to get my time down. I think the plan is to give the 1500 a good lash this year. I haven't really had a chance any year really to have a good go at it because I've been focused on hitting standards every year. So if we get a good lash to 1500 and try get that right down, and then we'll be going into 2025 for the European under 23s in good shape.
Definitely. Now, obviously, you made the outdoor final last year in the national championships in the 1500 meters. So if you can keep chipping away at that, that's the sole priority this outdoor season.
Yeah, just doing the shorter distances. We'll still do 1 or 2 5Ks, but we do want to see how low we can get in the 1500 because I think I only did a couple of fast ones. Like most of them I've done were championships, like the NI championships and the senior championships. But to get in fast 1500 races is definitely the priority this outdoor season. See how low we can get.
Does that take the pressure off a little bit? Does it allow you to enjoy training a little bit more when your sole focus is just to get as fit as possible? Of course, you want to be able to race. You want to have good races because good races lead to good times. They merely come hand in hand. But, being able to just merely focus on your fitness and get your times down as much as possible within an entire year after coming off such a solid camp in South Africa, does that take off the little bit of pressure in terms of your running and especially in terms of your racing?
Yeah, like the last 3 years, I've always been on the edge of trying to get standards, and I've always kind of just scraped by getting them pushed through. But this year, it kind of takes the pressure off, just lets me get a free hit at races. But the main focus, try and stay disciplined because, there is times where I've had really bad races when there's no standard up for grabs because the standard just kind of gives me that extra motivation. So it'll be good this year to see if I can keep the motivation high when there is nothing to really chase and just hopefully the fast times come with it.
This year as well, again, I know it's still a couple of months away, but the outdoors, we've touched on indoors. It'll be good to see kind of who turns up for that and kind of how that race goes. But for your own improvement at national outdoors this year, obviously you have a couple more months to keep improving and gaining fitness. But how would you like to see your improvement from last year at national outdoors this year?
Yeah, well, last year it was kind of a bit of a different race. I kind of pushed it from the front, tried to play it a bit tactically, but this year I did it a bit differently.
No reason why.
This year, differently and kind of run to my strengths. And, I hopefully if my time's down low enough, I wouldn't be too far outside the medals. And even if I was still there with the kick, I'd be happy enough with that and hopefully be higher than I was this year.
Without chasing standards and under 23 Europeans in 2025, does of course you want to get your time down as much as possible this season, but does it also give you that ability to just race and maybe just play into the hands of the race itself and not have to worry about going out too fast and how the race is going when you're not focusing on time? Does it just give you that ability to nearly just focus on the medal itself?
Yeah, definitely. This year's all going to be about sharpening that championship racing. And so, because I know I can get fit, I know I can always get fit, but you got to be able to race as well. So this year's going to be good in that sense that I can just go into races, play the race, do different tactics, try different things and see what suits me best. And then going into 2025 and Europeans, hopefully we'll be in a really good spot.
And Nick, of course, for your outdoor season this year, in terms of a national level, of course, you're going to want to be getting races in and getting the ranking points and whatnot for both Europeans and the Olympics because, best case scenario, you're heading to both. How is your track season going to be gearing up slightly different to Callum's in terms of racing and the amount of races you do and how each race plays out, I suppose?
Yeah, I think it's probably maybe a bit early for the outdoor season to really comment on that fully to the full extent. But yeah, again, it's just going to be, I'd say this year for myself, just mentally working on things like sometimes I maybe get too bored down with the time. If I maybe split a bit slower than if it's in a race, you're trying to run quick and the split's a bit slow, maybe the head kind of drops. So it is just for me trying to work on stuff like that and maybe just forget about the time. So the first race I'm going to this week is kind of just, I'm trying to just focus on racing, get stuck in, cover any moves that are made, just completely forget about how you're feeling and just really get stuck in. So yeah, that's one thing mentally that I'm trying to work on this year, and hopefully I can get better at that. But yeah, in terms of races, hopefully again, I'd say the 1500. I'll probably do a lot of lame, and as I did last year, I did a lot of paced ones, but again, there's only one that was really perfect that had a pacer that everyone went with, and the conditions were good, etc. So yeah, it's really just working on that and just trying to get some very fast 1500s in, trying to get that Olympic standard, which is 3:33.5, which I do believe I can get this year. So yeah, it's just about not trying to worry too much about the time. If you get too boiled down thinking, oh, I need to run 3:33.50, then I'm gonna end up probably not running that. 'Cause I'm just gonna get too caught up in it. So yeah, it's just gonna be about improving, trying not to deep bad races too much or let them affect your mentality, and just moving on from it, trying to race as best I can, and yeah, just run quick over the 15, and then hopefully maybe get a good 3K, good 5K, just the usual.
Yeah, will there be a trip over to Paris for the Olympics, regardless if there's you racing or not?
I don't know. I don't know. I think the tickets are going to be like ridiculously expensive. I've heard. So I think it'd be. I'm kind of one of the people who, if if I didn't make it, I would be very like I'd watch it on the TV and stuff, but I don't think I'd want to go over and experience the Olympics not being there. Obviously, because I have aspirations to make it. So yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe we have to see how the season goes. Like no one knows what can happen. I could end up being nowhere near the standard, or I could end up getting it and being there and maybe qualifying through the first round or whatever. So yeah, I'll probably make that call closer to the time. As to whether. I don't really want to think about it because I want to think about being there. So yeah, maybe when the delusion wears off and it's July 31st and I realize I haven't made it, then I'll make a decision on that.
Of course, yeah. No, it would definitely be bittersweet heading over, paying all that money just to watch when you
Yeah.
feel like you should be there. Coming into your last couple of days in camps, lads. What's Nick? You mentioned you have the big session over now. What's the plan? Is it kind of start tapering down, especially with national indoor championships coming up as well? Kind of what's the plan over the next 5 or 6 days?
Yeah, so we've got a session tomorrow. I think it's just a fairly basic one. It's like two sets of 8 by 200, and then like a mile tempo to start with. But yeah, and then we'll probably have gym double. It's just similar, just keeping the ball rolling. Really, we'll have another session Saturday, but just controlled sessions. Nothing like we were doing with our main session. We were getting down into the low 50 seconds for the 400. So yeah, it's probably obviously you have to keep the speed there, and we're just gonna keep doing it as normal. But probably I think we're tapering maybe a wee bit in the long run, so we'll do probably 10 minutes less than we did last week, and then yeah, have a taper week leading into Callum's doing AI games, and I'm doing a meet in Paris on the Sunday. So yeah, really just about tapering down. I suppose this week's kind of like it's a full week of training. We're not probably tapering yet, so yeah, just get this week done with, and then more or less get that flight, that long dreaded 13-hour flight or whatever it is home, and yeah, just rest up for the weekend as best as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And Callum, it's matching the exact same sessions and kind of mentality as Nick there in terms of the way you're tapering and when you're tapering and kind of the races on the agenda as well. Of course, nationals a big one for the both of you.
Yeah, everything's just the same for me and him this indoor season. Kind of we'll just be taking it easy this week. Everything's controlled. Obviously, that main session's done, and yeah, just keeping the ball rolling into next week, and then start tapering and rest and recovering from Tuesday to Saturday. Try to get that flight out of me, and yeah, that's it.
Definitely. Well, look, lads, definitely looking forward to seeing your race indoors when you come back. Whether that's any race or the national championships, of course, it'll be really, really interesting. And I'm sure you yourselves are looking forward to putting your fitness to the test after such a really, really solid camping, 30 odd degrees, slight altitude as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure everyone at home is looking forward to seeing what you can do at indoor nationals as well, and of course it'll be a taster of the outdoor season. So really really looking forward to that. We won't think too far ahead right now, I suppose, but in terms of what's to come at outdoor season. But no, really really from personally anyway, looking forward to seeing what goes down at national championships indoors. I won't keep you any longer, lads. I'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I know you're 2 hours ahead over there, but I do really appreciate you coming on and having a chat, and best luck with the rest of your camp.
No worries. Cheers. Thank you.
No worries. Thanks so much, lads. Talk to you soon.